in Oyo State, Kingmakers in Oyo Town, Oyo State have protested the appointment of Prince Abimbola Owade as the new Alaafin of Oyo by Governor Seyi Makinde. Owade's appointment was announced on Friday in a statement by the state's Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Dotun Oyelade, sparking controversy within traditional circles. Oyelade said after extensive consultations and traditional divinations by the Oyo Messi, the Oyo Kingmakers, Owade was recommended as a new Alaafin of Oyo and subsequently approved by Governor Makinde. Prince Abimbola Akim Owade, after through consultations and divinations, has been recommended by the Oyo Messi and approved by Governor Seyi Makinde as the new Alaafin of Oyo, he said. However, 5 prominent kingmakers in Oyo town rejected Owade's appointment. The protesting kingmakers include the Basorun of Oyo, High Chief Yusuf Akinade, the Leguna of Oyo, High Chief Wakil Akindele, the Akiniku of Oyo, High Chief Hamzat Yusuf, a warrant chief representing the Asipa of Oyo, Chief Wahab Oyetunji, and a warrant chief representing the Alapini of Oyo, Chief Gbadebo Mufutwa. The kingmakers argued that Prince Lukman Gbadegesi was the rightful Alaafin elect, citing ongoing legal proceedings concerning the selection process in a letter signed by the legal counsel. Kule Sobaloju, SAN, they described the governor's action as illegal and urged the suspension of the process until the matter was resolved in court. Titled, RE Illegal and Unlawful Appointment of Prince Abimbola Akim Owade as new Alaafin of Oyo was made available to newsman. The letter outlined the kingmakers' opposition to the appointment. Its reading part. On their resolute instruction, we write this letter concerning the purported unlawful and illegal appointment of Prince Abimbola Akim Owade as new Alaafin of Oyo. You may recall that on September 30, 2022, at a meeting of the kingmakers held in accordance with the Alaafin of Oyo Chieftaincy Declaration of 1961, the kingmakers appointed Prince Lukman Adilodun Gbadegesi as the Alaafin of Oyo by a majority of lawful votes. His name was forwarded to Your Excellency for approval, but you refused to approve it for undisclosed reasons. The kingmakers thereafter filed an action to stop Your Excellency from truncating the process, which is now pending in the Court of Appeal. Meanwhile, the paramount ruler of Iwo land, Oba Abdul Rashid Akambi, has congratulated Prince Owade on his ascension as the new Alaafin. In a statement issued by his press secretary, Ali Ibrahim, Oba Akambi described Owade's rise as a divine act, affirming it to be in accordance with God's will. Well, Obaka, I would like to get your thought on this, as there seems to be some sort of, rough play as regards the election of the Alaafin in Oyo State, and we have kingmakers who are saying that this inauguration, this appointment is illegal. Let me put it that way. I'd like to get your thought on that.
Well, again, I think it's quite unfortunate that I personally don't feel it very comfortable when you have traditional issues mixed with politics.
All right.
If the governor says wide consultation, including the gods, okay, and actually traditionally, the Yorubas actually have very strong belief in their gods. And but I don't know, this one now, they're talking, the other side is talking of courts. So what has happened? They no longer believe in
so you're wondering, the same thing I'm wondering, like the God's issues, traditional issues, have been taken to the courts. Do we have traditional courts? Let me know.
So, I don't know, in the days of your these are not issues that you leave to any other people, but settled traditionally.
Traditionally, yeah, that.
because as I say, they even consult their IFA and whatever, and these matters are resolved, and nobody has any. But here we are. I think we have diluted our culture so badly to the extent that now they are putting things to vote.
All right.
So at the moment you get to the arena of voting, then you have left the gods.
Okay.
So if it is, if we have brought to the point where we will have to decide it by vote, then I'm sure, from what these other people said, then there will be no point. You need to go with that completely. There is no way you can't mix it. If you are here, you are here. If you are there, you are there. So if in their tradition they have completely abandoned tradition and they are going with the modern,
modern
what
court.
is it, democratic way of choosing an
Alaafin.
then I don't know what the laid down rules have been, from time immemorial.
All right.
But I want to think that they are traditionally the gods usually seriously involved in the choice of who becomes the Alaafin, as it is in many parts.
Okay.
Maybe modernity is creeping into their own system as well.
All right.
It's not exactly the same thing with the Sanusi case. That is the Emir of Kano. You can imagine what is happening there. And all of this is actually, the more these things happen, the more we whittle down or we erode the power and the influence of our traditional institutions, and it's not the best. When you bring it down to politics and involve politicians, they will always bastardize. And at the end of the day, no one, nothing else, actually represents it more than our traditional institutions.
All right.
So I think as much as possible, if it is already in court, well, there's nothing you can do. Governor will may have done what he has done, but what will eventually settle it is the judgment of the court. And I'm not sure the court itself, of course, they will have to go.
Jurisdiction to settle.
Yes, whatever now comes out from there will now be what you will have to live with.
It's quite unfortunate that the courts. It's quite unfortunate that the courts are the ones to determine who would become the traditional rulers as it stands with. But the Kingmakers argued that Prince Lukman Badegesin is the rightful, Alaafin elect. But I'm wondering what would have, made them believe that Lukman here is the rightful president-elect as compared to the first person, Prince Abimbola Awede.
The question is, how many are the Kingmakers?
All right.
We don't know. We have said, you've mentioned 5.
Yes, I've mentioned 5.
5 on this side. How many in the total are they? They are not, the Kingmakers are not only 5.
All right.
If they were 5, they were the ones, wouldn't have gotten to that point where this man said they made consultations.
Right.
So the Kingmakers may be far more than 5.
Okay.
But among them, these 5 believe that it shouldn't be this person, and it should be that. So, again, And the story, one needs to get more than what is here to fully understand
what actually happened.
What really it is. Because if you say initially the entire Kingmakers sat and agreed, as it were, maybe by votes or whatever, democratic means, and the lot fell on whatever. And then now, the governor refused to recognize that one and has gone ahead to now give recognition to another person. Well, this is what you can get from, I mean, you can't get the details from the little story like this, and I don't know the background. But my own worry is the involvement of politics in our traditional institutions.
And so far, the paramount ruler of the Iwo land, according to the story, Oba Abdul Rashid, has went as far as congratulating Prince Ohad.
So you can see the division.
It makes it really difficult.
You can see the division, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it is happening, and that's why I say. You can imagine what happened in the MIS case. One, and then another governor came, put out the other one, and then put one. Even the Sultan, we have seen political interferences. So you are asking, as a people, what do we do to safeguard the sanctity of our traditional stools?
Right.
For now, you give kudos to stools or to the people like Benin, the Benin Kingdom. You never get to hear of this kind of things.
And there are elections by the Ohanese in Dibo, and it was, we didn't hear speculation.
No, that's a political, if you like, that's an association.
Yes.
But we're talking about the traditional institution, like in Benin Kingdom.
Ohanese in Dibo, it's a traditional institution as well?
No.
All right.
No.
Okay.
It's not traditional.
All right.
It's a group of, it's a pressure group by the Igbo people.
Okay.
Pressure group of the Igbo people.
All right.
It's a socio-political organization.
Okay.
So, it's not a traditional.
Well, thanks for shedding more light on that, because I was actually wondering anyway.
No, it's not. Look at, like you will find it in Benin Kingdom.
All right.
It's never in dispute. Before, in fact, in the life of the sitting Oba, the heir to the throne is known. The heir to the throne is known. So you don't. I mean, you never get to hear, oh, this one is the other one is this one is, aspiring or laying claim, and then you have political interference. No. I don't know how, incidentally, you don't have the same thing everywhere else. But that is, for me, it's a very bright point in the entire traditional setting in the country, where you see it is fully settled and it just goes on smoothly. Nobody interferes with it. Political institutions also revere it, because that is the representation of the people. That is who we are. Everybody is expected to honor it and also to revere it. Give it the dignity that it deserves. Right. And when you do that, you give the dignity to yourself as a people. So, but in other climes, areas where we've allowed politics to get into it, that's where you have all of this.
All right.
So because the person ought to have legitimacy. And if the process of ascension is not too clear or acceptable to all, you can be sure of instability here and there, and then maybe crisis here and there. I just hope and I pray this does not degenerate to,
of course,
again,
we pray it
add to the insecurity that we have, because it's happening. Kano is a state it's a case in point. Before you know it, faction here, faction there, and then create problems.
Well, since we have the case in courts, probably we believe, justice will be made.
The courts, mind you, the issue with the court is that the court will come out one way or the other. Will it satisfy everybody?
All right.
It's not likely.
Well, we are hoping for the best.
It's not likely.
We're open for the best anyway. Well.